Welcome back to Rare Coins Shop. If you enjoy hidden treasures, you're in the right place. First, we're uncovering coins that could be worth way more than you think. New here? Like, subscribe, and let's dive in. If you have a United States 1 dime coin from 1967 in your collection, or if you come across one in your change, it could be worth much more than you ever imagined. Now, the 1967 dime is not just another piece of U.S. currency. This coin was minted during a unique time in American history. The year 1967 was filled with significant social, cultural, and political changes. It was a period marked by the Vietnam War, the Civil Rights Movement, and the rise of counterculture in the United States. But, what many don't realize is that it's also a year that produced a very rare and valuable dime that's now highly sought after by collectors worldwide. To understand the true value of the 1967 dime, we first need to take a look at its design. The obverse features the familiar profile of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. He is portrayed facing left, wearing a calm and composed expression. The reverse side of the coin showcases an image of a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch, which symbolize liberty, peace, and strength. This design has been a staple of the dime since its introduction in 1946, following the death of Roosevelt, and remains one of the most recognizable coin designs in the world. However, what makes the 1967 dime particularly interesting is its composition and the production issues that occurred that year. In 1965, the U.S. Mint began producing dimes with a different composition than previous years, moving from the traditional silver alloy to a clad composition made of copper and nickel. This change was implemented due to the rising cost of silver, which made the silver content of coins like the dime increasingly expensive to produce. But here's where things get intriguing. While most dimes minted in 1967 were made with this new composition, a small number of dimes were accidentally struck using silver planchets from previous years. That's right, some 1967 dimes were struck with silver, and these coins are extremely rare. Since the U.S. Mint was only supposed to produce clad dimes in 1967, any dimes struck with silver planchets are considered to be minting errors, and as such, they are incredibly valuable. In fact, the discovery of these silver dimes has led to a significant increase in interest in the 1967 dime among collectors. Now, you might be wondering, how can you tell if your 1967 dime is one of these rare silver versions? There are a few things to look for. First, you can perform a simple magnet test. Since silver is not magnetic and the clad composition is, a magnet will stick to a regular 1967 clad dime but will not attach to a silver version. Another way to determine whether you have a silver 1967 dime is by inspecting its color. Clad dimes are typically more of a reddish-brown or coppery tone, while silver dimes will have a brighter, shinier appearance with a silvery hue. If you're fortunate enough to find a 1967 dime that passes the magnet test and has a bright silver color, you may be holding onto a piece of history that could be worth a substantial amount of money. The value of these rare silver 1967 dimes can be quite high, especially if they are in good condition and have been well preserved over the years, but let's not forget about condition. Like any collectible coin, the value of a 1967 silver dime will depend on its grade, which is determined by how much wear and tear the coin has experienced over time. A coin in mint condition, free from scratches, dents, and discoloration, will fetch a significantly higher price than one that has been heavily circulated. Professional coin grading services, like the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, can assess the coin's grade and help you understand its true value in the market. So, you might be asking, how much is a rare 1967 silver dime worth? Well, the value can vary depending on the coin's condition, but if you have a well-preserved, high-grade 1967 silver dime, you could be looking at a price tag that's much higher than its nominal value of just 10 cents. In fact, some of these rare 1967 silver dimes have sold for as much as $170,000, yes, you heard that right, $170,000 for a single dime. It's hard to believe that a small, everyday coin from the 1960s could be worth such a jaw-dropping amount, but in the world of rare coins, This is a true example of how even the most unassuming pieces of currency can become treasures. If you have a 1967 dime, or if you find one in your pocket change or collection, take a close look at it. Make sure to check for the silver content, examine its condition, and consider having it graded by a professional service. If you do discover that you have one of these rare silver dimes, you could be holding on to a small fortune. Second rare coin, we're going to take a closer look at a coin that might just surprise you with its value, the United States 1 dime coin from 1991. You might think that a coin from the early 90s would be a regular part of your pocket change, but what if I told you that this specific dime could be worth a lot more than its face value? Yes, that's right, this coin could potentially be worth a small fortune. So, sit tight, because we're about to dive into the fascinating world of the 1991 P dime. First off, let's talk a little about the design of the 1991 dime. Like all dimes, it features the iconic portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, who was featured on the dime after his passing in 1945. The reverse side of the coin showcases a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch, representing liberty, peace, and strength, powerful symbols that have been part of the dime's design for decades. So, what makes this coin from 1991 so special? Well, while most of these dimes are still out there circulating, it's actually the rarity and condition of certain 1991 P dimes that make them particularly valuable. This specific coin was minted in Philadelphia, and like all dimes, was originally produced to serve as everyday currency. Most people would think of it as just another small coin that you might find in your pocket or on the ground. But what many don't realize is that certain dimes from 1991, particularly the 1991 P, were produced with some unique features that make them stand out in the world of coin collecting. One of the main factors that make the 1991 P dime valuable is the condition of the coin. Coins that have been in circulation for years, especially from the early 1990s, often show signs of wear, tarnishing, or even damage. These factors lower the value of the coin significantly. However, if you happen to own a 1991 P dime in near mint or uncirculated condition, you could be holding on to a rare treasure. Coins that have been carefully stored, kept free from scratches, and haven't undergone heavy circulation tend to be far more valuable to collectors. The better the condition, the higher the price, but that's not all. When it comes to rare coins, minting errors play a huge role in determining a coin's worth. And that's where the 1991 P dime gets really interesting. During the minting process, sometimes mistakes happen. These errors can range from things like misprints or double dies to off-center strikes or even missing design elements. When these errors occur, they make the coin even more desirable to collectors. If you're lucky enough to come across a 1991 P dime with any type of minting error, your coin could be worth a lot more than you might expect. One of the most valuable variations of the 1991 P dime is the dime with a double die obverse, meaning the design on the front of the coin was struck twice, causing a slight overlap of the details. This creates a unique look that collectors covet. Dimes with such errors are especially sought after by numismatists, as they are rarer and much more difficult to find. If you happen to find one of these error coins, it could make your dime worth exponentially more than its regular counterparts. Now, let's talk numbers. Most 1991 P dimes are not worth a lot, maybe just a few cents above their face value at most. But, when you factor in exceptional condition and minting errors, the value of this coin can skyrocket. Believe it or not, a 1991 P dime in pristine condition or with a rare error can fetch up to $90,000. That's right, $90,000 for a single dime. It's hard to believe, but in the world of coin collecting, this is the reality for some lucky collectors who have stumbled upon these rare and valuable coins. The high demand for error coins, paired with the scarcity of well-preserved 1991 P dimes, has driven the prices for these coins to extraordinary levels. So, what should you do if you happen to come across a 1991 P dime in your collection or in your spare change? First, inspect the coin carefully. Look for any signs of wear or tarnish, and make sure to check for any minting errors. If you think you found one, it's a good idea to get the coin professionally graded by an expert from a reputable grading service, such as the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC. A professional grading will help you determine the true value of the coin based on its condition and any potential errors. If your 1991 P dime is in excellent condition or features an error, you could be holding on to a valuable piece of American history. Whether you plan to sell it or simply add it to your collection, it's important to remember that coin collecting is all about the thrill of discovery. Every coin has its own story to tell, and finding one like the 1991 P dime could be your next big adventure. Third expensive coin, we're talking about the 1990 P United States 1 dime. Now, you might think of it as just another dime, a common coin that you've probably handled countless times. But what if I told you that this particular dime could be worth much more than its face value of just 10 cents? In fact, if you have a 1990 P dime in the right condition, it could be worth $67,000. Surprised? Let's take a closer look and find out why. The 1990 P dime is part of the long-running series of dimes that have featured the likeness of Franklin D. Roosevelt, who has been on the dime since 1946. His image is featured on the obverse of the coin, facing left, symbolizing the dedication to liberty and freedom that he championed during his presidency. On the reverse side, you'll find the familiar symbols of a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch, representing the concepts of liberty, peace, and strength. While this design is iconic, what makes the 1990 P dime special lies beyond its appearance. Now, let's talk about the minting process. The 1990 P dime was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, and this is where things start to get interesting. At first glance, the 1990 P dime may seem like an ordinary coin. After all, dimes have been part of U.S. currency for more than a century, and millions are produced every year. However, there was a certain level of variation in how these coins were struck. Over the years, collectors have found that certain years and mints produce coins that are rarer than others, and some even come with minting errors that make them incredibly valuable. In fact, it's the presence of errors that can make the 1990 P dime so desirable. Minting errors occur when the machinery at the mint malfunctions, or when coins are struck incorrectly. These errors can range from off-center strikes, double dies, and even misprints on the design. If a 1990 P dime has an error like a double die obverse, which means the design on the front is struck twice, causing a slight overlap, this can drastically increase its value. Collectors search high and low for these types of error coins, and if you happen to own one, you could be sitting on a small fortune. Another important factor in the value of any coin is its condition. As with any collectible, the condition of the coin plays a huge role in determining its worth. Dimes that have been heavily circulated, scratched, or tarnished will naturally be less valuable than coins that have been kept in pristine, uncirculated condition. So, if you're lucky enough to have a 1990 P dime that has been carefully preserved, stored in a protective case, or simply hasn't been handled too much, you could be looking at a coin that is worth far more than just 10 cents. The real value comes when you combine rarity, minting errors, and excellent condition. A 1990 P dime in perfect condition with a rare minting error could easily fetch a price that's orders of magnitude higher than its face value. And this is exactly why the 1990 P dime is so coveted by numismatists. When it comes to pricing, the most sought-after 1990 P dimes have sold for astonishing amounts at auction. Some of these coins, particularly those with double die errors or other significant mistakes, have reached $67,000 or even more in value. It's hard to believe, but a small, everyday dime from 1990 could become a priceless treasure to the right collector. So, how can you tell if you have a 1990 P dime that's worth this much? First, look for any obvious signs of minting errors. If the design looks off, such as if certain parts are doubled or if the strike seems misaligned, you could have an error coin on your hands. Next, assess the condition of the coin. Is it shiny and well preserved, or does it show significant wear and tear? A pristine dime in excellent condition will always be worth more than one that's been heavily circulated. If you suspect you have a rare 1990 P dime or even one with a minting error, it's a good idea to have it professionally graded. Coin grading services like the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, will carefully examine the coin and assign it a grade based on its condition. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin is. If your 1990 P dime is in great shape and has a minting error, you could be sitting on a truly valuable piece of history. And remember, while most dimes are still out there circulating, the value of a well-preserved 1990 P dime or one with a minting error is likely to continue rising as more collectors become aware of this rare find. Last unique coin, we've got something really exciting to talk about, a coin that might be lurking in your collection or even in your pocket change. Yes, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 2005 P United States 1 dime. At first glance, this might seem like just another dime, small, silver, and probably not worth much more than its face value of 10 cents. But, as we always say in the world of coin collecting, looks can be deceiving. There's much more to this 2005 P dime than meets the eye, and it could be worth a significant amount of money. Stick around to the end because you'll be amazed at just how valuable this coin can be. Now, let's start by talking about the design of the 2005 P dime. Just like all dimes minted since 1946, this coin features the portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. Roosevelt's image is iconic, and it's been part of the dime's design for decades, symbolizing his leadership during challenging times. On the reverse side of the coin, you'll find the familiar image of a torch, olive branch, and oak branch, representing liberty, peace, and strength. It's a design that reflects American ideals, but what makes this coin interesting lies beyond the artwork. The 2005 P dime was minted at the Philadelphia Mint and is part of the series that was produced to honor the 50th anniversary of the Roosevelt dime's introduction. However, despite the dime's commonality in terms of design, there are some factors that can make certain 2005 P dimes incredibly valuable, and this is where things get interesting. You see, many coins, even ones that are still relatively recent, can actually be worth far more than you'd expect depending on their condition and rarity. While most of the 2005 P dimes were mass-produced for regular circulation, some have been preserved in remarkable condition. And it's these coins, especially those that have been well maintained, that can fetch much higher prices in the market. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins that have been carefully stored, shielded from scratches, tarnish, or wear, and are still in pristine, uncirculated condition. If you happen to have a 2005 P dime that's in such condition, you could be looking at a very valuable coin, but it's not just the condition of the coin that can make it worth more, it's also minting errors that make some 2005 P dimes extremely valuable. Minting errors happen when something goes wrong during the production process at the U.S. Mint. These errors could be anything from off-center strikes, double dies, or even incomplete designs. These types of errors can turn an otherwise ordinary coin into a highly sought-after collectible. For example, some 2005 P dimes were mistakenly struck with a double die obverse, which means the coin was struck twice during the minting process, creating a slight overlap in the design. These types of errors are quite rare and are often the most valuable to collectors. A 2005 P dime with a double die could be worth thousands of dollars, and if you're lucky enough to have one, you've got a highly valuable piece of American history in your hands. Now, you might be wondering, how can you tell if your 2005 P dime has a minting error? Well, it's all about looking closely at the design. Pay close attention to the date, the lettering, and even the features of Roosevelt's portrait. If you see any doubling or signs of overlap, you could have a double die error. Similarly, if the design seems misaligned or if the coin looks off in any way, it could be another type of minting error. Of course, condition and errors are just part of the story. The other key factor that plays into the value of this coin is rarity. The 2005 P dime was minted in relatively large quantities, but only a small percentage of these coins have survived in perfect condition or with minting errors. This makes the well-preserved or error-filled 2005 P dimes far more rare than most people realize. In fact, because these coins are so uncommon in good condition, they have become highly sought after by serious collectors and investors alike. So, how much could a 2005 P dime be worth? Well, a typical 2005 P dime in circulated condition is worth just about 10 cents, but as we've discussed, the rare ones can fetch far higher prices. If you happen to have a 2005 P dime in perfect, uncirculated condition, or if you have one with a minting error, you could be looking at a coin that's worth much more. For the rarest of these coins, the ones with a double die error or in flawless condition, you could see them sell for as much as $45,000. That's right, you could be holding onto a coin worth $45,000. It's hard to believe that something as simple as a dime could have such a high value, but this is exactly why coin collecting is such an exciting hobby. Coins that were once just part of everyday currency can sometimes turn out to be incredibly valuable. Whether you've been collecting coins for years or you're just starting out, the 2005 P dime is a perfect example of how rare coins can pop up in the most unexpected places. If you have a 2005 P dime, make sure to inspect it carefully. Look for any signs of minting errors or signs of its condition. If you think you've got a rare one, it's always a good idea to have it professionally graded by a reputable coin grading service, like the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS. They can help determine the true value of your coin based on its condition and rarity. So, next time you check your spare change or flip through your collection, keep an eye out for the 2005 P dime. It could very well be the hidden gem you've been searching for. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more exciting discoveries in the world of rare and valuable coins. Happy collecting!